Well, welcome to finding my little slice of YouTube. My name is Jim Wiggin, and this is my current HO scale layout and what I'm working on now. A lot of folks have been asking me about the layout, and I figured I'd take a few moments of your time to kind of explain the HO layout. Now, before I go on, my channel is mainly going to be focused on both the HO layout that we're going to talk about here today, as well as my N scale layout, which is a 6 foot shadow box layout depicting Manchester, New Hampshire in the 1970s and early 1980s. It's the Boston and Maine's Brown Industrial. I call my little shadow box the Queen City Industrial. We'll talk about that in future videos, but for today, we're going to concentrate and talk about this little layout, which, by the way, does not have a name yet. So if you view the video and you like it after you've given me a like, it would be appreciated. Um, Maybe send me a comment or a suggestion. Now, a little bit of background on this layout. The layout is proto-lanced. It is not based on an actual location. It is a 100% freelance layout based in central Illinois in the late 1990s and early 2000s. It is the BNSF, and it serves only one industry because this is really just an ingle nook, curved to fit around a wall. And that industry is a bakery. We'll talk a little bit more about it. Instead of just having you watch me stand here and talk about the layout, let's go to the actual layout. So, in the real world, the outside world in which you can't see, there is a main line that comes out of Galesburg, Illinois. And the bakery job is basically this line that we're on now. Now, in um, strictly speaking, from the layout, the line that number 2795 is on is just the bakery spur. The main line is off camera. The train, sometimes a dedicated train for the bakery job, comes out of Galesburg on a daily basis and switches the bakery. Now, today's power is 2795. It's a Burlington Northern Santa Fe GP39-2U. It was a rebuilt that Santa Fe had, so it's a former Santa Fe unit. In actual terms, this is an Athearn Genesis model. It was a release that came out this past spring of 2025. And we're going to go ahead and get this started, and we're going to catch up with 2795 closer to the bakery. So let's go ahead and get our locomotive started. Today, we've just got a box full of spices and some flour coming from out east. We've gone down the road just a little bit to Royal Bakery. Now, Royal Bakery is not an actual place, or not quite. It is actually based on a actual bakery. Royal Bakery, or Royal Donut, is in the Danville, Illinois area. And since my wife's side of the family has a lot of good memories of that donut shop, and since they expanded into Champaign recently, um, I went ahead and named this bakery Royal Bakery. In the grand scheme of things, they are now branching out to breads and muffins and different types of baked goods, and they deliver them throughout the Midwest. We're standing just outside of the mock-up building of the bakery, and if we look carefully, we should start seeing that first boxcar come into view. There it is right there. Now, the reason why I chose a bakery is because it allows me a nice variety of rolling stock. In this case, I've got box cars, I've got tank cars, and I've got covered hoppers. Now, today's switch isn't going to be too awfully hard. We've got some imported spices that have come in from Chicago. They were sorted in Galesburg last night, and we've just gotten word from the plant manager that we're going to be moving the Illinois Central boxcar as well as the covered hopper just off to the screen. Now, this layout only has about 9 feet, linear feet of operations. It's 2 former 4-foot modules that I stuck together and built a corner piece for. And that allowed me to put it in as this shelf layout. All the track is code 70 microengineering. Had a lot of good luck with microengineering. I think it's a good compromise between scale fidelity and workability. So it's just standard flex track and turnouts. The bakery building is a Walther's Cornerstone kit. There's really no kit bashing involved. I took the easy way out. First, what I did was I put the building loosely together with tape and trying to figure out different orientation paths for rail receiving as well as where the other structures are. And once I was happy with the layout, I went ahead and put it together as you see here. There's going to be some more work done to it in the coming weeks. Typically January, February, and March are my busiest months to work on the layout. In fact, typically Saturdays I work on the HL layout and end scale is on Sunday. All the turnouts, as you can see here, are just manual. There's only 2 turnouts on the layout so far, so no sense in making it more difficult than it needs to be. Now the track that I'm going down right now is a storage / shuffling track, because one of the items that is not going to be going back to Galesburg, they're still working with it, is that JB Huber tank car. But we're going to move the covered hopper. So why did I choose BNSF, and why did I choose this era? And why did I choose Illinois, especially since I live in New Hampshire? Simply put, I've already done the N scale layout as a homage to my favorite railroad, the Boston to Maine. That's my hometown layout, if you will. So I didn't want to do an HO layout in Boston to Maine. I considered Maine Central, but I thought, I'd rather do something that's a different era, a different railroad. And so I got to thinking, what railroad should I model? And going back to the late 90s, early 2000s, when I did live in Illinois, I rail fanned a lot of the BNSF. I like the early BNSF pre 2005 mainly because the variety of power. I am mainly a 4-axle Jeep guy. Never really got into the 6 axles other than SD40-2s. And so there was something cool about seeing patched Santa Fe and patched Burlington Northern Jeeps doing their job. There was a wide array of patch jobs, and again, a wide variety of power. GP39Ms, GP38-2s, GP40s. In this case, the GP39-2, which was a rebuilt Santa Fe unit. Just kind of interesting stuff. And so I chose that. I had the most fun rail fanning BNSF from about 1990, I'd say 1997 to about 2005. I'm going to slowly pick up that tank car there. All right, now that we've picked him up, we're going to go ahead and pick up a covered hopper. I'm not running sound on the locomotive, mainly for 2 reasons. One, I'm doing a voiceover. I figured it'd be more interesting to have trains running while I'm talking about the layout versus me just standing in front of a camera. And second of all, the microphone I currently have does not really pick it up all that well. Okay, so we've got our air pressure up. We've got our cars coupled up. Now we're going to pull these cars out and do a little bit of sorting. So I chose the bakery mainly because I wanted the variety in freight cars, and this definitely gives me that. I've got box cars, covered hoppers, and tank cars. Box cars typically will bring in on a daily basis spices. It may even bring in corrugated material for finished goods, boxes and things of that nature. Tank cars are going to bring in your oils, your liquids, canola oil, corn syrup, things of that nature. And then, of course, your covered hoppers are going to have a variety of powdered items such as sugar, salt, flour, things of that nature. Since the bakery runs 24/7, it's always going to be busy. There's a crew pretty much always working on the bakery. Raw material comes in by rail and then it goes out by truck. You can see I've got a set of loading docks that I'm staging there. There's going to be 4 outgoing areas for the trucks. So raw material comes in, the bakery produces, and then everything goes out by truck to local markets in the Midwest. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of switching here. The beauty of having a small layout like this is it really allows you to super detail stuff. So my goal for this layout is not only to showcase products for my employer, but it's also a way for me to super detail this building, which even though it's a off-the-shelf kit, I'll be modifying it somewhat to my taste. I'll have to scratch build the sign, Royal Bakery. I'll probably decal up some regional trucks for the bakery. And just really spend a lot of time detailing things like the track, weathering the cars, things of that nature. Now, you can't see it really from here, but I'm going to point at it. This tie right here, I did was to make sure that I had clearance, is I painted the tie yellow, and that lets me know that I can put that car, as long as it's behind that yellow tie, I'm okay. I don't have to worry about fouling things up. Now, the main spur for the bakery is just under 4 feet. I can get about 3 cars on the second spur without fouling up anything. And I'm going to spot the boxcar on the main for now, since the first car that's got to go is the covered hopper. So the bakery is yeah, it's over the shelf. It's nothing major. I've just catered it, since the building is a modular type kit. I was able to build it for my needs. Now, if this layout looks remotely familiar, it's because it started out as 2 modules, 2 4-foot modules that were only 10 inches deep. They were modules that I took to shows for that manufacturer. And I took it to Milwaukee. I took it to the St. Louis RPM meets. I took it to a variety of shows. And it served its purpose. It allowed me to run stuff and show people, the newest models and such, get them to operate. But I stopped transporting it after a while, and then it sat in storage. Flash forward to July of 2025, and with the help of some rail software, some planning, was able to go ahead and incorporate this into a more permanent layout. And I'm happy to say that everything that you see here, with the exception of paint and the backdrop, was all recycled material. I didn't have to buy anything other than those 2 things, the skyboard and the paint. I was really happy with that. And I started in mid to late July, And then I completed it to the point where you see here in October of 2025. From November to December, well, it's pretty much the holiday season takes over. Once the holidays are over, I'm able to work on the layout a little bit more. I work on it mainly January through March. So we've got a foreign car here. This one is an ACF covered hopper from Vermont Rail. I'm going to go ahead and go all the way down. And again, this is just kind of staged how I want it set up. I did a lot of, spent a day just kind of rearranging everything to see how I wanted it. And this was about the best. Just off camera there, you're going to see I'm going to spot this car. So small layout. It's only, like I said, just over or just under 9 feet linear length with the two number 6 turnouts. But it gives you a chance to actually do some operations. I mean, I don't have a lot of time. I actually work in the industry. And ironically, when I was just working in the automotive industry, I had a lot more time to work on the layout. Whereas now that I'm working within the industry, I don't have that luxury. So I only have, some nights I only have about 15 minutes to work on it. And that's okay. Small layout like this allows me to, so I don't want to do that. Allows me to work on it in small chunks. So if you're watching this and you think, man, I've only got about maybe 8 feet to build a layout, do what I did, build it around a corner. The layout is suspended by a metal rack system. Unbeknownst to a lot of you, this is rental property in Illinois, and the construction of the house from the late 1800s is such that you don't have studs like you normally would. So I had to build a false wall with studs, and then build my metal shelving to complete the framework for the layout base. And it was just a matter of building supports to hold the modules. The module that you see here was extended to an 18-inch depth to allow me to have an 18-inch radius curve to connect to the other module, which was largely unchanged. Trains are built up off-site out of the site of the layout and assembled currently just on that 4-foot module where we started our tour. In the future, I'll probably build a cassette and store them that way. But again, this gives you enough to work on, and you can spend one night maybe operating. You can spend another night super detailing your facilities. I'm looking forward to finishing up this building this winter and painting it up and giving it a little bit of a backstory and a history. And eventually too, you can't tell, but this layout is run with NCE. I'm going to be using the proto throttle on this locomotive, which if you've got a small switching layout like I do, really extends the enjoyment of the layout. Now we're going to pull that forward. Now in future videos, I'll talk more about the N-scale layout. There'll be a playlist eventually on my YouTube channel that will Um, talk about the different layouts or whatever it is I'm working on. Not really going to be doing reviews or a lot of how-tos. It's basically just talking about the two layouts and what I've done to them. In some cases, I might talk a little bit more about the locomotives and what I'm doing with them. But for the most part, this is just a catalog, if you will, a digital catalog of what I've been doing with the layout. Now, if you have comments or questions, feel free to put them in the video below. Um, I try to answer as many questions as possible. And if you think of a good name for this layout, let me know. Queen City Industrial was pretty easily named because Manchester, New Hampshire has been called the Queen City for decades, if not hundreds of years. But this is just a freelance layout based on Central Illinois in the 90s, early 2000s. That's my justification for running BNSF. And the bakery was, again, so to give me the pretty good diversification of freight cars for loading and unloading. So I don't know, the confectionery spur, I don't know. It's up to you. Let me know. All right, we're going to put our tank car back into position. And now spot our boxcar here. I tried to think of the best locations to put the loading doors and the delivery doors for the trucks and things of that nature and make it logical. Sometimes I see buildings where you question why they have the door there. I wanted to make this as plausible as possible. All right, go ahead and pick up the rest of my train and then we'll head back to Galesburg. And then maybe just give a quick overview of the layout itself now that you've kind of gotten a background of the layout, why I'm modeling it, why I'm modeling this timeline, and what we can expect for possible future videos. Like I said, this is a Athearn Genesis GP39-2U. This is a release that came out in 2025. And I really like this one because it does have the lit number boards up front. And again, I'm going to be in the minority on this, I'm sure. I am a fan of the Heritage One paint scheme. I loved it the first time I saw it, and I've continued to love it. I like the dark Brunswick green with the orange. It reminds me of the Great Northern paint scheme. I thought the logo was a good marriage of both railroads. I still think BNSF's got one of the better paint schemes out there, but I just really like the Heritage One the best. All right, our two empties are coupled together, and we're going to head back to Galesburg. So even if you only have as small of a space as I do, and in my case, rental property, you got room for a layout, and you got room for, even if you just have one industry. Right now, I've just got the bakery. That's all I've got, but I've got 3 spots for 3 different types of cars plus storage. It can make operations pretty interesting, and certainly going to keep me busy over the course of the next few years. You could potentially keep 2 operators busy with just a standard switch, probably about 30-40 minutes. And honestly, this is probably not much more than a diorama when you think of it. Realign that to the main line and head back to Galesburg. There's that 18-inch radius curve that I had to install. Really wanted a 22-inch radius, but I just didn't have room. But it's also a nice way for me to show that manufacturers, locomotives and freight cars, if they advertise they'll operate on the minimum curve of 18 inches, they will. And as you can see, these 4-axle locomotive and these cars have no problem negotiating that. So 39-2, 2795. Heading back to Galesburg. It's going to be on the main line here in the next 5 minutes. Nice, easy, casual night of switching. Well, I hope you enjoyed this short video, just kind of giving you a brief overview of my layout. Again, it doesn't have a name, but hopefully in the coming weeks, either inspiration will strike and I'll come up with something. The bakery, I said again, is based on an actual bakery. However, in my world, it's a much larger worldview of what Royal does. So maybe we'll call it the Royal Industrial. I don't know. But if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor, like and subscribe. I'm hoping to do more videos like this, as well as just kind of giving you an idea of what I'm working on in the next coming months. We'll also talk about that N-scale layout, the Queen City Industrial, in future videos as well. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. And until next time, everyone out there, go ahead, do some good modeling, and above all, high greens. Take care, everyone.